Hey everyone, welcome to YesterKitchen. I'm Jill. Today we are going to go all the way back to the 1920s and explore steak tartare, a classic dish that's been actually popular in America since the 1920s. You're going to love it. How are you doing? We're cooking the retro dishes you grew up with and recapturing some childhood memories along the way. Before I start, I want to say a huge thank you to my friend Erin, who took down those horrible drapes and gave me this beautiful new set. Erin, thank you so much. Here's a picture of her. Watch those drapes come down. This was one of the best days ever. So, steak tartare. Where did it come from? What is it? I'll start with the what is it if you don't know. It's a classic dish that's literally ground beef served raw with all kinds of amazing flavors in it. It is incredibly customizable. So I'm going to show you a base recipe. If you don't like something, leave it out. If you like more, put more in. It's that easy. So we're going to start with the meat, and we use filet mignon. Filet mignon is very low in fat, which is what you want. And actually we're going to cut out all of this fat here because you do eat it raw. And because you eat it raw, you really want to get organic grass-fed beef right from a butcher or a market with a really good butcher counter. You really want to know your source for this dish. So let's get started. Here I have about a half a pound of filet mignon. You never know if you're going to get a thick cut or a thin cut, so today I happen to just get thin cuts. You just work with what you have, and all you want to do is you want to take a very sharp knife and just start cutting away all the fat. If you see it, get rid of it. And that's pretty much it. So while we're doing this, let's talk about where in the world this dish came from. There's many schools of thought. The most popular, which in most recent times has been proved wrong, is that back in the Middle Ages, the Mongols, or as they were also known, the Tartares, would carry meat between them and the saddle and ride around in it all day, and that would kind of tenderize the meat. So at the end of the day, they can cook their meat and it would be all tender. It's been proven wrong because modern science says that it would pretty much be inedible if you did that all day. So they're really not believing that story anymore. Another one is that the German soldiers discovered it and brought it home to Hamburg, Germany. They discovered it while they were in France from a dish that was a ground beef, but it was horse meat. It's okay, that was their culture, it was the time, it was fine. But they would bring it to Hamburg, Germany, and what do you think started in Hamburg, Germany? The hamburger. So some people say that was the this right here is the precursor to the hamburger. Again, food history, no one's quite sure. There was also a dish, it started showing up in America in the 1920s, and there was actually a dish called steak tartare, but what it was raw beef served with straight up tartar sauce, like what you would have with fish and chips. And eventually people said, this really isn't working for me, so they took away the tartar sauce, but they kept the name, and that's where steak tartare came from. So that's about 3 of the myriad of stories there are. Pick what you like. Okay, so now we're going to get rid of all this fat. We've pretty much got everything. You just want to take your knife and just put it right under the fat and very, very gently just kind of cut away. It doesn't take long, especially if you have a nice sharp knife. I'm going to get a few more of these pieces of fat, and then we're going to go on to the next step. This is pretty much it. If a tiny bit of fat is on there, you're fine. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut it in chunks, maybe about an inch and a half cubes. Now you can, if you want, hand chop this. I prefer to use a food processor. It just goes quick and everything is even and beautiful. So we're going to finish up these cubes, and I'm going to bring in my food processor, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've got our trusty food processor, and all you're going to do is you're going to put your cubes of beef right in the food processor. And by the way, they make tartare, they make ahi tartare, salmon tartare, anything that's raw protein with just the perfect spices. So today we have beef because that is classic and it goes wonderful with one of these things. So we've got our beef, we've got the food processor. You're just gonna pulse it maybe 4 times. You don't want to ground as fine as like ground beef for a hamburger. You want it a little coarser than that. Maybe something like a chili grind, if you make chili, but I'll show you. So we're just gonna pulse. much should be it. Let's take a look. Look at that. This is exactly what you want. Just really fine brown, not too fine, but brown enough. Filet mignon, you can't go wrong with filet mignon. So let's get this out of the way and put our happy little bowl right there. And we're just gonna put all of our beef right in the bowl. And here is where you can customize till your heart is content. I'm gonna give you my base recipe. I actually have made this so many times I can't count. And by the way, a half a pound of beef, there's probably a good 2 servings. This is, even though it's not a lot of beef, it's really heavy, and you're gonna serve it with toast, which I'll show you in a second. Let me get rid of this food processor and I'll be right back. So, here we have our meat all ready to go, and we're just gonna start adding ingredients. Okay, so we're gonna start with a tablespoon of Worcestershire, and like I said, if you don't like anything I put in, this is the classic seasonings, but if you don't like what I'm putting in, leave it out. And we're gonna add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. We're gonna have a tablespoon of chopped parsley, not the curly parsley, but the Italian parsley. The flat, where are we? Where's my camera? There we go. The flat leaf parsley. It just has a little better flavor, I think. So in we go. Okay, here's one. If you don't like it, don't add it. But I love anchovies. My husband loves anchovies. I have 3 chopped anchovies, very fine. So I'm adding that. It just gives a little something special to the meat. And then I have a tablespoon, I have 2 tablespoons of chopped capers. And that just adds that beautiful saltiness. And I have a half a shot of brandy, because brandy. And it's actually because it's classic steakhouse recipe. Brandy is pretty classic. So we're gonna get that mixed up together. And that's pretty much it. I have one more addition. I just want to get this going. Now, another way to classically serve this, some restaurants in old, maybe like in the 50s and 60s, it was very common to just take the raw meat, maybe put a little bit of pepper in it, and just put the raw meat on a plate, and you put all the different accompaniments around the outside, and then people can just add as they want. I like mixing it in because I'm just making it for us. But if you have company and you're not sure what people like, that's another option. The last thing we're gonna add is 2 teaspoons of finely chopped shallots. If you don't know what a shallot is, it's kind of like if an onion and a garlic had a baby, it would be a shallot. You can use white onion if you want. I think it's a little stronger, and so I prefer the shallot. And that's it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a classic presentation. Get that out of the way, and I'm going to put this here, and this, oh look how beautiful that is. So let's talk bread for 2 seconds. I have a very thinly sliced baguette. You can also take straight up white toast and cut it in triangles, but toast it first and cut it in triangles, that will work. Pretzel bread is fabulous with this. Sourdough bread is even not too bad because it kind of balances out. You have that little bit of sour with all the salty notes going on, and that's good too. Or whatever bread you like, seriously. Okay, so here's how we do classic steak tartare. What you want to do is you want to just kind of get it into a ball. And you want to just make a nice little ball right in the center. Now I've got one more trick up my sleeve. Steak tartare is also classically served with an egg yolk, raw egg yolk. I'm not a fan of egg yolks, but I know there are people that are, so I want to cover all bases. So here is a very cool little trick. You're just going to take a tablespoon, soup spoon, and make a little well in it. And trust me on this, this is for people who don't like eggs also. Now you're going to want, I'm going to get this out of the way for 1 second because I'm going to show you a little trick. Got an egg, you just want the yolk. You're going to crack your egg, and then you're just going to kind of open it up and just kind of go back and forth with the white. So the white's dripping out, but the egg's staying in. You got to be careful because if the egg does touch the broken shell, it will break. Okay, so now we have just the yolk. Now we're going to bring back our dish, and we're just going to set that right in the center. And that way, if someone wants it, it's there. If someone doesn't want it, they don't have to have it. So since this is real life, I forgot an ingredient. Tabasco. Tabasco, you not any other hot sauce, Tabasco. You just want to maybe put about 5 or 6 dashes of Tabasco and mix it up in your meat mixture. I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit and put a little bit on the side and just kind of sprinkle it around, but you really want to mix it in. But like I said, life happens. Don't forget you can leave it out if you don't like heat. It doesn't add that much heat, but it does add a whole lot of flavor. So this is it, classic steak tartare. Give it a try, you just might be surprised. And if you're really, I don't know, you can always make it into a patty and cook it, but that's really not steak tartare. You'll just have an awesome flavored hamburger. If you would like to explore more dishes from your childhood or just the past, I invite you to subscribe. I have new videos every Friday. In the meantime, here's a few retro dishes for you right now. Remember, every dish has a story. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.